Hello and welcome back. Today I am very excited to actually be working on a piece of technology that I said I would be in a previous video. And today that technology will be the one big beautiful binary, or the conversion from multiple manifest binary databases into one single MBD file. So we have quite a few things to do today. The first of which is going to be moving all of the database builders into a single MBD file. Now, ideally, we would have been able to have something like this, where we make a database builder that will store all of our derived database builders, which would be these down here. And then we would simply export all of our entries, and everything would wrap itself very nicely using this machinery here, export database. However, for a couple of reasons, we cannot do that. The first is we are templated, and the second is we are pure abstract. So we're kind of screwed from both ends in terms of polymorphism. Now, I'll be fully transparent. Already began working on this, and we're actually going to be doing this a little bit different today. Normally, the code is already written. However, I thought it might be useful to actually go through the motions and talk about the design decisions and the problems as they come up. So we're going to be doing a little bit of live coding today. So this is currently where we're at. Because we have that polymorphism issue, we're going to be moving the, I guess, compendium responsibilities into our MBD file structure here. And in order to handle the exports, which is going to be the first part, in the second part, we're going to need to go through and change all of the importers, because currently they are, let's see if I can show it here. Yep, so currently we have all of these different MBDs. And whenever you import, you load that specific MBD. And so we're going to need to change it to turn this into an ID. We'll query in the main MBD file where this particular database begins, and then all of the machinery that we already have just hooks in and continues to work as it does. After we have successfully moved over our exporters and importers, we are going to test the current game just to assert the state. And the main reason why we don't have the one MBD now is primarily because of debugging. It would have been an absolute nightmare trying to validate things like entry keys and database positions, as well as database data, if everything was combined together. And now that I am fairly happy with how it all works, we are moving it all in under one file. That gives me a perfect segue to show the game in its current state. And I have not been stagnant since that last video. I just have wanted to make sure that I actually follow through. And so most of my attention has been on getting the game working. There's currently one event started right now. I'm going to start the second one here. And the neat thing is they're actually linked, but that's beyond the topic for today. However, I just wanted to demonstrate that there's been progress. It's just all been behind the scenes. However, this is also what we'll be using to validate our testing later. And there is a lot to do. So let's go ahead and close this and jump on in. So the first thing we're going to tackle is this exporting here. And basically the build tool is going to I guess I can't really replace these actually, so there's not going to be replaced. It's going to be mapped. In the future, I'll look at trying to get this all under one housing, but for the time being, we just simply need the functionality of giving everything under one file. And so that is the primary objective. So starting with exporters, we're going to map the database ID, which again will just be, spawner database or trigger database. That'll be turned into a symbol hash. And then we will have these export helper functions that will automatically do our exporting for us when we call this export file here. The main reason why we have this is this will order our, I guess, database. It'll order our databases via their keys so that they can work with the MBD, I guess, file structure. I'm not going to go over it. I've gone over it quite a few times, and it's kind of confusing without the graphics, but I will leave a link below explaining how the MBD structure works. Alrighty, sorry about that. I had to take a look at my notes. Originally, we were going to try and do the database of databases. However, as I said, it's not too important to get that done right now. So the first thing we're going to do is work on those exporters. And we'll probably start with making the MBD file wrapper. So this right here, you can't see it. This right here, the export we're going to work on next. And so the idea is the basic MBD. I like how I said I wasn't going to describe it, and then 30 seconds later, here we are. Okay, so the basic MBD is something like this. Where you have a header, a table of contents, and and then you have some database entries. And these table of contents entries store the position in the file that these can be found at. So the biggest change is going to be these will all now be inside of one file instead of an accumulation of files. And so looking at my notes, we're basically going to pass in this point. So wherever the header starts, we'll pass that in. During the normal machinery, we already have that current write position will be moved to here. And then with each successive write, it'll be moved along until it reaches the end of the database, which would become the header for the next entry. And so that kind of leads us into the total file structure that we're going for, which is going to be something like this. We have the database header, call that the master header. And we'll have, actually, let's call these database 0 and then database 1. And then their payloads is essentially, it's the MBD structure, but we're just using the fact that it's very fractal, so you can hop these databases in and out of position, as long as they're sorted via the database ID. And so you would get your header for database 0, get your table of contents for database 0, and then get your entry. Then, so we would start here. During the normal export, it would move there, and it would end with our next header here. Then when we do the second export, once more, that right position will be moved. Excuse me. That right position will be moved. So on and so forth, until we reach the true end of file. So that's the idea for exporting. We're going to first work on the MBD files wrapper for that. So first thing we'll do is count the number of databases and then I'm going to cheat and actually just look at this. Okay, so we have a database header. Count is going to be our database count. We don't actually need to do this. When I was originally writing it, or writing the code, I thought that we kind of had to pre-allocate all this room, but we really don't. We can just continue to write it and the file will grow. The idea is we just end up with one compact structure, but so you can close that. You can skip this. We don't actually need it. All right, so let's go ahead and export the header. And then we'll export our table of contents, which is just the databases. And that's the other thing too. So we only have one file now. So let's assert that the, what's it called? MBD out is open. Or we'll worry about that later. Let's grab a reference. Oh. It's a class object. We don't need to do that. TOC size. So that just the number. Yeah. Export map. so this is where it starts to get a little weird. This goes. Oh. Oh, right. You can't directly change associated value. No, that's not it. That is fascinating. Oh, I guess, yeah, it's a map, so it has only constant range. So what do I do here? Well, okay, so what are we doing? We're writing this, right? This is what we're trying to do. So we've written this. Now we're here. We want to write this, and then call the exporter to write this, and we'll pass it the position, which would be current write position. Right here. So I think I'm way overcomplicating this. So the right position is the current position. I just need this, the key position. We can pass it. We need to... Can we make a copy? Okay. So what's going on here is, let me get back to it. The key that we pass in, the entry position. Just accidentally kicked my cat. The entry key we pass in, the entry position actually only stores the size of the entry. And so right now, so for example, up here, T0, let's just call this alpha. This stores the size of alpha, but the position in the file of alpha is actually, let's call this the header plus TOC, we'll call that just the offset. So the position is equal to the offset plus the size of alpha. And that will tell us in the file where the actual entry for this this entry key exists. So we update that. Oh, so yeah, so we grab the right position, I guess, because it's already been, yeah, it's already been calculated here. So when you do the first export, this is already that offset position. So you capture the right position, then you move the current right position up by the size. So that would be, you know, you go from C to C1 because it's the size of alpha. And then in the entry key, you're storing that original position right there. Then you compute the key position and then you export that. So we just need this section. Because we'll take entry key, it's a right key. We'll just do that, right? Okay, so yeah. Alright, so this will export the database TOC and then this will export the actual database. Allegedly. Okay, so now to do this part, we want to change this so that it already takes in the OF stream, so that's good. But we also wanted to now take in the current right position. And it'll be a reference to it because, oh, son of a gun. Alright, so what we want to do is, as you can see that, we can now export the databases, or sorry, yeah, apologies, because you couldn't see that. So what we want to do now is we can export the database TOC, and now we want to try and export the database data. Okay. So to do that, we want to add, or we want to basically pass in where that right position is now. So originally we compute it like this, and then we move it along using our machinery. But instead, I think we can just get rid of that altogether. Because this, no, we want to keep this. So this will be the database offset. I think that can be constant. So the database offset, say current right position. Database offset, and then that'll move. So let's see if I got that right. We start here, we compute the header and the database count, gives us C. this part right here, I think, is... I'm gonna look into that. I don't think we actually need that, but give me 1 second. Okay, never mind. We do, in fact, need that line. However, well, okay, so the reason why we need this line is we are constantly jumping around in the file when we're doing the export, so we want to make sure that there is room for it. But we don't want to actually do this here anymore. We want to do the allocation. Where is it? Over here on the export side. So let's do that first. So this right here, it doesn't even have so eventually we'll need to go through all of the database. So really this shouldn't be... Oh man. It's okay, we can just basically copy this and get size functions, and then we can handle that later. But nonetheless, we can get that for now. Alright. So this will make sure we have enough room. Where is it? And then this will make sure that we actually have the space in the file. Okay, so now we have that. Export the header. Export the table of contents. So actually, I don't think, do we move it here? Yeah, so we don't actually ever, once we set it, we don't ever actually move it ourselves, right? Yeah, because we'll pass in the current right position. We'll get the database offset. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that's right. So we don't do this. We store that. Write it. Do our export. So now we're going to grab the export function and attempt to make the export. So it takes the exporter, the header. So the export function needs to know the exporter, because the header is easy, and so is the out file. So db header and then mbd out. But it's this right here. Is this also? Yeah. Well, actually, because the exporter can be constructed on the fly, it doesn't have any state. So we can capture the exporter, and we can actually just capture the header and just pass in the file. And just do that. Okay, so just double check. File size, it's the size of the header, it's the number of entries in the table of contents, and then this function we need to create for the payload size, and that's the total size. Then we create the file for random access, export the header, get the database table of contents position, and then compute the right position for the first database. Export the key. Okay, so if we're going to do that, current right position. I think it would be better to put it here. I mean, you could put it here, I guess, but it's more explicit this way, in my opinion. And it's the current right position. But we changed it. Exporter, header, database. So we need the right position. This is getting kind of janky, I'm not gonna lie. it works. Oh, well, we can pass it, right? Yeah, we'll just pass it. There we go. Now we can just give it this. Change that. All right. Okay, so move. And then call this, which goes here and does our export. Then all this should work the same as before, just with this little change right here. Okay, so that is the first part of the exporters. The next part will be to fill out the export map. Oh, that's that's part of that. Doesn't build to the file yet. Those. Yeah, if that's static, it shouldn't be an issue. That's fun. Does that work? Ah, no. Alright, that's something again we can look at later. But for the time being, we'll just throw it in here. gosh, I think that is the build list, right? It's our list of databases. Yeah. Might be able to just do this, or at least change that. So I think we only have 23. Where is it? Yeah, we have 23 characters. Okay, I'll show you. We can just use this for now. That's not a problem. We're going to want to move this to a shared space if we're going to be referencing it for export and import on the build tool and runtime side of things. So we're going to want to move this out of the build tool eventually, but it can stay there for the time being just to get things working. Okay. So our entry ID can just be the module. I guess we just go one by one. Roll trigger. Entry name. To make the export, we'll give it mbd out. mbd file, mbd out, and this will be a roll trigger exporter, and just a I guess it actually doesn't need, because it can just use the default, right? I guess we don't actually pass in the header. We just keep it if we need. Export. Does that take a header? It does. Gotta look at that real quick then. Why is it taking the header? That's why. Okay. Okay. It's not a problem, I guess. passing a reference that may lose its lifetime. But if that is the worry, so what are we doing here? So we have a blank database header. Oh yeah, but that'll lose scope though. Header goes there. What don't you like? Still have an exporter. It does. I think that might be the issue. I'm not 100% sure. Oh, that's what the issue is. I would imagine because database exporter is an actual abstract type. It's not until we tell it that we're giving it a reference that it's able to go beyond and say, okay, this, this type. Actually, I'm not too sure why. I wonder if it has something to do with the casting. But I would imagine, yeah, I imagine it has something to do with the casting. If anyone knows, let me know. Alright. Now we just repeat this for all of these. Alrighty. was a mistake. I think we also take in the database builder. Team. Alright, let's try that. That's unfortunate. I think I've tried this before, it doesn't let you do it, right? Let's check something real quick then. I don't think we can put the exporter in there directly. Right. If we could just do that, that'd be great. Let's see. No, right? Because it's abstract. Yeah. We do this. Okay, so let's see if this yells at us about anything. Oh. Is it 'cause we don't All right, I got a couple of complaints. Far from there. Yeah, we don't need that. We don't need that. We just need these two. Let's see if that took care of it. And I guess we could do a test in between and just try and export the mega file without overriding our current MBDs, but I want to make a copy just to be safe on our bits. Still upset about that. Alright. That should be it. Okay. That's fine. And then we'll just do I thought that looked weird when I first did it. I believe it should just be able to go through test directory. I'll set that there. Oh, we're not quite done. We still need export size. I wonder if it'd be easier to just add database size. Then we could just forget this for now. just forget that. So we can just put that there, and we can go through all the databases. The entire database size will be this payload size. Oh, look at that, it's already called that. Perfect. So, oh boy. Actually, I don't think. It doesn't need to be virtual. Just do this. I believe we already have the current entry size. So we say return header size plus the table of contents size plus the current entry size. I guess we actually don't even need this anymore. Here we go. This will just add another function. So right now we're just going to have to go through these one by one. I am not looking forward to that. So, since we have plans in the future to try and wrap all of the databases into the database of databases, we'll just go ahead and make our own standalone function now. And then that way we'll already have the plumbing to do what we need to do when we get to that point. What was the name?
shuttle will yes, which one was it? The gold chunk is that one. Yes. Go ahead and test it and see if this breakpoint hits, and we'll look at the output. Hopefully it just works. Alright. We actually have, let's see, I have a couple of problems. Out. Let's see if that does. Hopefully that does. Okay. That should do it.
Alright, I'm gonna actually need to take a second and think about this one. Okay, so so with the actual errors, even though an exporter is derived from that type, this is still an abstract instantiation because it's trying to instantiate this and not, this, for example. So we have a couple options. You could do something like this, where we'll have a templated constructor. Because I believe we make the database somewhere. Do we do that or no? Okay, so no, we don't actually create it, but we can do that here. And actually, let's call this initialize. It'll be our own initialize function. Okay. So when we go and build, or when we go and do our initialize, what we can do is we can take in the exporter, and just for safety reasons, we can make sure that it is a proper exporter. Alright, and then we can use a unique pointer instead. Make that unique. Okay, so now the exporter should be created inside of the builder when the builder, I guess we should probably make that virtual, and don't know if this actually needs one, but okay, so that should take care of everything now. And then we'll go in here. What don't you like? Was it this? Oh, right. It's asking for the exporter, right? Oh, okay. So oh, I see. I see. I think it's this. I think it's the unique pointer. Yes. Okay. Well, so so it looks like there's actually two problems, because we should be able to. Should be able to do that, but we cannot. I have a feeling it's because well, it's supposed to be taking a unique pointer to an exporter. So it should be able to make the signature. Oh, right, but it's because this itself doesn't have it. Is that why? Okay, so regardless, it seems like I'm going to have to touch each of the builders, which is very unfortunate. Let's just see if that's the case. Default constructor is a deleted function. Alright, you know what? We're just gonna do this. As much as I am not happy to do this. Oh, wait, no.
No instance of the constructor. Okay. Still not the problem though. Well, that's not yelling anymore, which is good. This doesn't exist. Then now we just have the problem because of the unique pointer. Oh wait, nope, not exporter. Database exporter T. So I believe I have clearly shown my expertise with templates here recently, so take my word for it, but I believe I should be able to add the assignment operator. Right. I guess we should just take everything, right? We don't actually have a use case where we really need to copy all this data over, but you never know.
Oh, well, yeah, we're not actually constructing. Oh yeah, no, we are, aren't we? What was that error? Yeah, no, we can't. That's not going to be capable. Okay. You know, I actually need to look up the signature for the assignment operator. Oh, okay. All right. So now we're going to copy everything. That's upsetting. Okay, so looks like that took care of all those errors. Oh yeah, this, yeah. Okay, now, hopefully... No, we need to... No, we don't need... so we don't even need to make the builders anymore. They should do it automatically, however... Yeah, we need... Wait, do we need this? I'm pretty sure we need that, right? Interesting. I'm just going to build it and see what it says. When in doubt, just build it. Okay. Oh, right, because it's not. Yeah, it's not an actual pointer anymore. So we should just be able to do that. Okay, so spelt that wrong. Think we have to move that. Yes, yeah, we had to move that. And then what is this? Line 68. Huh? To be honest, I'm not sure what it's complaining about right there. I mean, I understand what it's saying, I just don't know why it's complaining. Hmm. Oh, I swear, it's always the smallest symbols. Okay, now, so before we actually test to see. Hold on, I'm very. Export function. Okay, so it succeeded. I want to see what the. What is it? Object spawner? Yeah, object spawner. That one should have an exporter set. And this right here, World Trigger Builder, should not have an exporter set, if I understood that code correctly. So it appears to have the exporter. I guess we could really check any of these, but World Trigger, exporter. Interesting. Alright, well, I am utterly confused. We're just gonna let it rip. You know, every now and then I totally understand why people like Vim. I just cannot bring myself to learn it. All the way back to the top. Almost there. Okay. So I have all the exporters. Close that up. Oh. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is check to make sure that this will actually create the path. And then we will attempt to export. I suppose it would just be a blank binary, I guess. Which would be a good start. Just see what happens. That's a good start right there.
Is build list not a part?
Well, I guess because it's right static, it's not part of this.
GFX resource.
Oh, that's right. Not. Yeah, not every
Because you don't build resources explicitly, they're built
depending on what you specify is made in the object. Which I guess is a non-issue.
because what this will do is it's going to create a list option that will allegedly allow you to make a graphics resource. Just we won't be able to touch that for now. 'Cause eventually we'll just put like we'll just disable that line or whatnot, just to keep it from ever causing problems. All right, let's see if that lets us at least get to the export function. No. Oh, okay. The same thing, right? Materials, likewise, you don't actually create. And in fact, no, because we used the name. I was gonna put something like this. However, this string right here ends up becoming the database entry name. So I'd rather put do not use there, and I'll just work out turning it off in the future. All right, take 95. Should have saw that coming. Alright, I'm not going to say anything this time. I'm tired of making promises. Oh, we got there. Very nice. Okay. Crash. Alright, Let's see what's going on. Oh, okay, just wasn't open. So it didn't make it. I'm going. I thought you could. I know it can. Well, process of elimination, right? See if that was the issue. Because I was pretty sure it will make the directory as well. Because I am almost 100% sure it should just be able to create the blank binaries because these didn't exist. They were just created by the program. But we shall see. Oh. I imported. Again, okay, so it's not... Yeah, I'm very unsure. I could have swore that it would make the file. Oh, you know what? I bet it's that string. Where is it? Yeah, okay. So it picked up one and not the other. That's neat. Slowly but surely, we will get there. Anybody who has made it this far, God bless you. There we go. Okay. Now just as a sanity check, 'cause I don't think it will actually create, well, it may create the directory, but just as a learning process, let's go through the motions. No, okay. So that is good to know. So we need the directory, we just don't need the file. Actually, I wonder if we can import all of the databases, because the importers were not changed and we still have the individual data. So I wonder if we can take all of these and then export it into one test, and then we'll try to validate it here. I guess we'll just let it go. That was to be expected. Yes, okay, so the exporter is null. And it's the object instance, which should come right after object spawner. Perfect. So we'll need to go through all the builders and basically do this. That's gonna suck. But once it's done, it's done. Okay, I think this is one of those. Just do it one at a time, or one file at a time. Probably the easiest way. Oh shoot. Probably want to leave that up as a template. We're actually just going to do all the headers, and then we'll do all of the source files. don't. Did we ever do the size function? What did we do? Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. We did it, right? Not a problem. You know, the amount of time I spent trying to avoid doing this, I could have just done this and been done with it. It's a lesson you think I'd learn eventually. last file. Oh, actually, I lied. We have one more file. You'll notice a common theme. There's always one more thing. Okay. Hopefully that should be everything. And just to make sure we catch that in the future, let's put another assert right there. Alright, let's give it another test. So now when we go to export, again, import should still work because we'll be importing off of these files. And we will be attempting to export into that 1 mega file. And we can read it after the fact to confirm that the data looks right. Then we can move on to trying to import. Then once we can import, hopefully we can test the game. Right. Import. Export. Well, that's a pretty good sign. Oh boy, that... Actually, I don't know if we're going to be able to read that. Oh. Oh. Zero bytes. Interesting. Oh, I see. Okay, well, hey, this is a very good sign, I believe. So these appear to be, yeah, the data. Then here's the materials. Then I don't know. Okay, materials. Then probably graphics objects. Okay. Yeah. This allegedly looks correct. I guess this is just can't compute it yet with the actual file sizes, but okay. That is looking good. Let's move on to the importers now. So thankfully, importers should be a bit simpler. So the way it currently works, let's imagine this is just one MBD. We would read the number of entries, turn that into a vector of a table of entry keys, or table of contents entry keys. We would do a binary search, find the key we were looking for, and then get the position of the entry. So all this should still work. We would just want to replicate this over here, so we would get the number of databases, turn that into the vector of databases, then just find the correct database ID, and then their right positions should be these headers already. So that should not be a problem. In best case scenario, we could just completely reuse, well, there will be one change. There will be one change. So let's go ahead and go to the importers. So that's what we want. This is for, okay, so that'll need a change too. When we go to import the entire, well, no, not necessarily. Yeah, because we could just, yeah, so we can keep this. Because again, these are already designed to work on MBD structures. So I guess it's this load entry. So this would become the database ID. Right now it's tests. Yeah, so we'll still need, that's what it was called, right? Yes, test. So basically, okay, and so we no longer do this because we don't need to move. It has, the header will always have to at least come from a database header, so we'll always be able to get the entry count. So I think we just want to copy this part. Well, I guess this should actually... No, because we can change that in the future. One of the other things I would like to do is be able to keep the file open for multiple loads. So we'll do that in the future where we'll pass in... Well, no, wait, let's just do it now. Actually, no, because that's going to require quite a bit of moving stuff around. So in the future, that will be a change where you can keep the file open and then just do continual loads. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, no. Because we just use a base header. Yeah. So that's still fine. Okay. Well, I was hoping that would get IntelliSense to wake up. It did not. So this should be good. So what we would want, instead of seeking the beginning, we would say in this case we want to make sure we actually found the database. Well, do we? Do we care? Yeah, I guess we do. And this will go to, so this will be the, not the entry key, but the database key. Okay. So now they need, the importers will need to supply this. So let's go ahead and build. Just so IntelliSense can pick up all this stuff and they can tell us what's actually wrong. I believe we'll need to end up moving that build list option into a, really what we need is a shared symbols common file, but for the time being, we'll just move that build list options. Okay, here we go. Oh, fascinating. You just gotta love it sometimes. Okay, so these are non-issues. These would actually go away. But this, perfect, right? So we no longer. So we're gonna call this the entry ID. And this will be the database ID. Okay. Now I think we'll need to go through all the modules. Luckily, there should be a lot less modules. Alright, we're gonna move the build list to here. Oh, shoot. Game object. Oh, great. Well, that has game object. There we go. Okay, so now all of the importers should have access here, or from being a part of the module. Now we can just do, this will be, oh shoot, no. No, we just, do we need it? Or just need module type? No, we just need the module type. So that can be moved back. Alright, well, crisis averted. So this would be module type ability. Right? No? Ability importer. Entry database ID. Oh, right, because this is automatically getting turned into a symbol hash. So right, okay. Oh, no, it's just part of rain. There we go. Okay, I think that should be all for that file. Item. Inventory. Item. Why do I feel like there's missing importers? I guess I could just do this actually. Maybe we do have all of them covered. Oh, I see. Okay, so certain mod. Wow, okay. Kind of is all over the place, but I guess it's as needed, right? Try and keep it modular. Keep doing that. Oh. Huh. How did we... Oh, shoot. Did we get the items? The item table? I guess that means we're missing data. Let's check this real quick. Yeah, just loot tables, not... Hold on. Yeah, we do have item tables that are missing, so that's not ideal. Which means... Oh, that's very unfortunate. I'm gonna have to take another look at this too. I don't know. Oh yeah, because we need yeah. Okay. So do we have a database called item table? We do, right there. So that is very unfortunate. I guess. I mean, it has no data. So I guess it really doesn't matter. So thankfully, I think it's actually a non-issue because we should be able to, before we move on, do the old import. Where is it? This right here. We can still go through each of the individual databases and just call their import directly because this was unchanged. So that's not a problem. So in that case, let's finish moving these over. everything looks good. So we're going to do the old import, then export, verify that we have oh, I do apologize. I just realized I left these up that whole time. Oh, that's very unfortunate. Oh, thank you, Miss Muzz. I was just validating that all of these were changed over with the load entry. Right, let's import, export, and let's hope. We want 24. 1, 2. I counted 21. Ability, AI, collider, combat, instance, spawn, game object, graphics object, graphics resource. Object instance, interaction, inventory item, oh, item table still did not come through, so we're missing item table still. We have loot table, material, quest giver, rigid body doesn't count. Okay, so I think it's just item table then, right? Spawner, yeah, terrain. I don't see triggers either. Oh, right there. Triggers. Okay. And then world data. So yeah, it's just the item table that did not get exported. Oh, I know why. Hopefully that does it. Something I just noticed is looking at these these are supposed to be the keys. It does not actually appear like they have correct position data. Okay, so we'll import, we'll export, we'll reload, then sure, okay, perfect. There is item table right there. So we have what appears to be the correct MBD now, minus the keys, because I'm pretty sure there was something about the positions that was missing. That's interesting. Oh, okay, so current write is 884. Then the key position is table of contents. Where's that? That does not seem correct. So, something about this seems to be very wrong. export. Oh, hold on. Ah, that's why. Okay, I believe that was the issue. These old entry keys didn't have, because they're part of an associated container, you can't really update any part of them because the system doesn't know that that's not part of their hashing mechanism. And by changing that data, it may violate ordering. Alright. The right key. Yep, that looks much better. Looking at this now. Well, so let's go here. It's the entry name. Then it's 4 bytes. Huh. Oh, it'd help if I was actually at the... Well, it still doesn't look right. So that actually looks right. Let's go here to game object. I think maybe it is right. I guess we'll see. We definitely have all of our databases exported now. So, do we just... Yeah, I think we just run the game, right? don't know why I expected anything different. Alright, let's see why it crashed. Okay. Okay. So, did the world chunk load anything, or did it return? It didn't return anything. World header actually was imported correctly, though. That is good to see. We're going to look at that export again and make sure that the world was still put together correctly. Yeah, so those are correct. Okay. Let's go here to where it gets loaded. Okay, so we opened it. Got 22 databases. Our database keys. Let's look at these. Oh, okay. Yep. I think we can do. Oh no, that would be through the view. Okay. Yeah, but it would look. So let's check the last one. Make sure that it read everything. World data. These all look very correct. Yep, item table. Okay. And the IDs are in fact ordered correctly. Okay, so this... What database ID was this? I just wanted to make sure why I only said one. It's because there's only one world chunk. So we're gonna get the one. Okay, so interesting. It returned the stub. Okay, so there is an offset error. Oh boy, now that is not what you want to see. Okay, so I am going to pause right here and debug this one off. I guess off camera or off video. I was worried that we were going to get one of these. It's going to be a nightmare trying to figure it out. So I will see you guys to what for you is very shortly with the solution. Alright, welcome back. It is quite a few days later. As you can see, we are in the game, and things are working as they should be. So we had quite a few issues. I'll go ahead and stop this for now. The first issue we had was we never actually closed the file. It's not the biggest issue in the world, kinda, sort of, but that was one. We actually also didn't even have an export issue. What we had was an import error. So the first issue on importing, let's see if I can find it. The entire import database was not using the new dual indexing format. So that was moved over here to load header. And the reason why I was put here in load header was we also use it, we call this function to load the header in the world module to update. So it just made sense to throw it here. Eventually, this will probably be wrapped into its own function because we also repeat all the same steps here. The third issue we had was actually over here with our exporters. See if I can find them. Yes, so we weren't actually supplying the proper world header. We were only supplying the database header, and we were having a size validation issue. And then there was one last sneakier issue that took a little bit longer to track down once everything was working, because I'll show you real quick. I actually ended up doing a little test by hand, and these up here are the sizes, and then these are the offsets. And I ran a small test with item being the only database, and sure enough, these were the positions and these were the sizes that we were getting. So that told me that all of the positions should be working. The issue was here when we were building the exporters. This header was actually not taken by reference, it was just a copy. So the information that ended up being stored in the world header from the world chunk builder wasn't being carried over. But to prove that we are in fact working fully off of the new system, all of our old databases are gone. We only have our test, and we're going to go ahead and build and run, and sure enough, we should have the working game that we saw earlier. Alright, here we go. And sure enough, as we saw, our game is back up and running off of the single one big beautiful binary. Thank you guys for sticking with me if you made it this long or if you just skipped to the end. I do appreciate it. Coming up next, I will be finally taking a look at more game-specific technologies, focusing in first on the combat and simulation effects. I'm sure you've seen there's zero response to most of the systems right now. So we're going to start stepping more into the game and focusing specifically on that. But I'm going to end it with that. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.